Good evening and welcome to Tuần-san News of the Week. My name is Emma Doe. In what's making headlines this week, Vietnam arrests another member of the activist group Brotherhood for Democracy. The United States and Vietnam deepen security ties. And a Vietnamese Australian couple desperately raising funds to treat their sick newborn. In this week's top story, both the Vietnamese and German governments have engaged in talks over what Berlin calls a kidnapping of a former Vietnamese oil executive seeking asylum in Germany. Vietnam has failed to respond to Germany's demands to return Tuần-san, who is wanted by the Vietnamese government on charges of financial mismanagement. On Wednesday, a representative for Germany's foreign ministry told media that the European country was considering what steps to take next. While the Vietnamese government announced that Tuần had willingly turned himself into Vietnamese authorities, Tuần lawyer said his client was bundled into a car and forced to return to Vietnam. Vietnam issued an international arrest warrant for Tuần last year after he left the country. That was during the time that the central government began investigating $150 million worth of losses from the state-owned company Petro Vietnam, which Tuần headed. A day after his return to Vietnam last week, Tuần apologised for his actions on Vietnamese state TV, but it's unclear as to whether he made the statement out of free will or not. United States defense ministers have agreed to visit Vietnam via a US aircraft carrier, a move not yet made since the Vietnam War ended in 1975. The agreement signals deepening defence ties between the two countries, who are both increasingly anxious over China's claims in the South China Sea. On Tuesday, US Defense Secretary Jim Mattis told his Vietnamese counterpart Ngo Xuân Lịch in Washington that a strong defence relationship was based on common interests that included freedom of navigation in the South China Sea. Within Southeast Asia, Vietnam has become an increasingly lonely voice in challenging Chinese claims to the vast majority of the waterway. Last month, Vietnam was forced to suspend offshore oil drilling in an area of the South China Sea following pressure from Beijing. Vietnam has continued its crackdown against critics of the Communist Party, arresting another member of the online group Brotherhood for Democracy. Authorities in the central province of Quang Binh arrested Nguyễn Trung Duc last Friday. Duc has been charged with carrying out activities aimed at overthrowing the People's Administration under Article 79 of Vietnam's Penal Code. Last Sunday, Vietnamese police also arrested 4 other members of the advocacy group on similar anti-state charges. A British woman has been found guilty of smuggling 12 Vietnamese nationals into the UK. According to the Telegraph newspaper, Katie Bethel was travelling through France in July 2015 with her then partner Aaron Harris when British border officers stopped their vehicle at a Eurotunnel check-in. The officers spotted a pair of legs sticking out from a stack of tyres after searching the back of the couple's borrowed Mercedes Sprinter van. Among the group of 12 illegal immigrants were 4 men, 5 women and 3 minors. Bethel has claimed she had no idea the migrants were in the vehicle, but the Maidstone Crown Court found her guilty of assisting unlawful immigration. Harris had previously pleaded guilty to the charge. The pair will be sentenced on September 11, with Bethel granted conditional bail. A Vietnamese national in the UK might be deported for a second time after being caught growing £60,000 worth of cannabis plants. Minh Hoang was arrested during a police raid in the northern English city of Middlesbrough last month. In 2012, the 32-year-old was deported for the first time after serving a prison sentence for cultivating the same drug. Minh told the court that he returned to the UK last month because he still owed a £20,000 debt for his trafficking into the country in 2012. But police quickly found him only 2 days after he returned to make money illegally. Hoang admitted to growing cannabis and was sentenced to jail for 3 years and 4 months. The judge said Hoang would be recommended for deportation again. Malaysia's Maritime Enforcement Agency has detained 18 Vietnamese for alleged illegal fishing activities. The fishermen, aged between 18 and 56 years old, were detained for using illegal trawling nets about 43 nautical miles off the port of Kuala Tanjung. The agency had detained the group's first boat at around 7 a.m. on Tuesday, and the second boat about 40 minutes later on that day. State media reported that about 4,000 kilograms of fish on the two fishing vessels were also towed away. A Vietnamese national has been arrested for transporting 4 packs of cocaine from Brazil into Ho Chi Minh City's Tuần-san airport. The 37-year-old woman from Binh Thuận province hid the drugs among her clothes, shoes and cosmetic products in her luggage. It's suspected that she began a relationship with a Nigerian man through social media, and that the man bought her a ticket to Brazil, asking her to help send gifts to his relatives in Ho Chi Minh City. An official from Tuần-san Nhut's customs department told Yanji Newswire that more than 50 people had been caught for drug smuggling at the airport. The representative also said that most suspects claimed that they'd been tricked into committing the crime by foreign men. According to Vietnamese law, those convicted of smuggling over 600 grams of heroin or more than 2.5 kilos of methamphetamines face the death penalty. A half Vietnamese and Norwegian model has been crowned Miss Universe Norway. 20-year-old Kaja Caroline Kojan claimed the title at a ceremony in the Norwegian capital of Oslo. The 10-month-long competition required contestants to collect points through various activities, including reaching out to the press, being involved with charities, making ties with businesses, and actively promoting themselves on social media. The beauty queen from a small town in Norway was born to a Norwegian mother and Vietnamese father. She'll now prepare to represent Norway at this year's Miss Universe pageant in the US. Back to news in Australia. The advocacy group Human Rights Watch has urged the Australian government to press for progress on human rights in Vietnam. The call comes as both countries meet in Canberra for the 2017 bilateral human rights dialogue. The non-profit organisation made a submission covering key areas for improvement, such as political prisoners and detainees, ending harassment and violence against activists and dissidents, and respecting freedom of expression and religion. Despite sweeping reforms to its economy and growing openness to social change, including gay, lesbian and transgender rights, the Vietnamese government retains tight media censorship and does not tolerate criticism. A Melbourne man and his Vietnamese partner are raising money to bring their newborn from Vietnam to Australia in order for her to receive life-saving operations. Tim McClatchy and Jum Duang's baby was born in Ho Chi Minh City 6 months ago with DeGeorge syndrome, which causes congenital heart disease and autoimmune disorders. Baby Caroline can currently only breathe with a ventilator on. That's meant that the couple has barely been able to hold their baby daughter. She is currently under the care of Ho Chi Minh City doctors, but the couple say the necessary operations are only possible at Melbourne's Royal Children's Hospital. McClatchy posted on the couple's crowdfunding page saying that it would cost $130,000 for the Royal Children's Hospital to transport baby Caroline to Australia. So far, the page has raised $93,000 in donations. If you'd like to make an anonymous donation, you can do so by visiting McClatchy and Duang's page at gofundme.com/baby Caroline. That's all from Tuần-san News of the Week. For more stories, you can follow Tuần-san at tvtsonline.com.au and at Facebook at Tuần-san. I'm Emma Doe, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to your company at the same time next week.